Okay, hopefully I'm recording. Hello and welcome. So this one we're gonna create this kind of interface UI. I don't know what it is, some unfolded menu. It kind of collapses on itself and opens up when you touch a button. So let's create this graphic. Let's get started. So let's minimize that. Web browser and let's go. Let's get an axis. So we need an axis. So hopefully my microphone's clear enough. Axis. We're gonna need a solid color solid. Okay, and we're gonna need a rectangle. So let's change a few properties on our rectangle first. So change the alignment to top on the Y, and let's change the X value to say something like 25 and the Y to 5. So nice big bar to start with. It should give us our graphic. We can go on our materials here. We can go to our texture. We can add a base. Under the loader, apply gradient. So you can choose a gradient, and of course you can color that gradient by opening it up, clicking on the little three dots and choosing a color. So I'll try to get it very similar, but I won't be exact, you know. It doesn't need to be perfect for this. So there you go. Got like a kind of orangey yellow thing. Anyway, let's get a group. Let's go to our world tab, and under there we'll find a group and place this in front. And you can name this like button 1. Then you got button 1 there, and then this is the actual button, and we want to parent to this, so we want to place it underneath some text. So under the text tab, grab a 2D text, block text. Okay, change the font to headline, and let's scale this up. Now you can position this where you want, so you can place this to the left, and if we take a look at the image, it was like they had, I don't know why this browser's going weird here, but anyway, it's like the day and then it says today. So if we want, we could do the same. So it could be here, and we can type in Wednesday, and then so I can just put that like day, and then number that I could put in. What's the day today? 17, and then place that underneath and scale the day down so it sits like this. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be the same. It can be whatever. You could just have one piece of text here. You could have an image here. Whatever you want. Yeah, but there we go. So we've got that, and we can duplicate this again, and we can name this, you know, I don't know, title or whatever you want. Shift this across, and then you can put in whatever you want. So it could be like remember, or if I spelled it right, or meeting, you know, like a calendar thing or whatever they have. But yeah, you can put whatever data you want, or information, or whatever you want there. Or, you know, hit that like, thank you. Yeah. You know, and hit subscribe. There we go. But there you go. But yeah, you put whatever text you want. Now what you got to remember is, right now if I click on the main axis up here and rotate, we've got clipping issues because they share the same space, the Z space. So select all 3 fonts, the 3 text axes on the text, and just push it forward. There we go. Minus, I'll do minus 0.01, just a tiny bit. You notice here the material, it has no material, so we need to apply a solid color. You can apply color to each individual font if you wanted control over that, or you can apply one font, so now you can, you know, change that color and you can tweak that to how you want. I'm going to keep it really simple and keep it like that. So the reason why we have it aligned to the top is we want this to kind of unfold and open from the top like this. Right, very simple, nothing complicated. So say this is our button, we need the pieces that unfold, so with the content. So we can reuse all of what we've created here. So if I collapse this, I could name this text and name this bar. You can name this bar as well if you want. You can name all your elements, so you know, and then you can note like txt1, txt2. So you know, it's always good to name all your elements, and so you know, if you pass this over to someone else, they know what it is, and so on. And then, you know, this can be like btn, for example. That's the button, and there you go. And then this could be I'm gonna call this top, and what I'm gonna do is change the gradient. So I'll edit this gradient so it's like a grayish, not perfect, and I'll change the font to like a grayish, not fully black, but yeah, there we go. And then I'll duplicate this again, so I'll just right click and minimize that all, control and drag that down and rename this bottom. Okay, there we go, bottom. Okay, and on the bottom one, if we want to change the alignment on the Y to bottom, and you'll notice everything's offset. So this text that's parented under the group needs to now follow this, so we need to push these up, and just push them up. There we go, so nice and centered, simple. Okay, now once you're happy with that, don't worry too much about where these are positioned, as long as you zero them out, or it doesn't actually matter, because once we apply a range node, so that's what we're going to do, apply a range node, and we click on the range node itself, and we change the Y to top chain. You can see now we can, you know, space them out and control what we want. So I'm just going to change this to say minus 0.03, so slightly overlaps. Just you'll see why in a second. Get another axis and place that in front of my range node. That just allows me to move this up, scale this, you know, in so we can see it better. We can also rotate it if you want. There we go. And the reason why we got the range node, so it'll keep everything in order, and when we rotate this, so for example when I rotate this, you see it auto follows, it kind of keeps everything in place. So what I can do, so if I take, for example, get an integer, I mean, you could keyframe both of these. You could keyframe both the x and the x value on the rotation, and then like, so you can have a keyframe animation. We are going to keyframe it, but we're going to keyframe just one integer. But you could take both these x values and then set keys. But instead of having multiple, you know, values to keyframe, what we can do is just put this here, integer, take the x value, drop it in, and then we keyframe that one value, and we'll go here, set a key, and just go to say half a second and set a key. Let's say 45. Okay, so right now you can see, I mean, it's doing what we want. So right now, so it's 45 here, and then I guess 90 will close it. Yeah, so what we want the top one to go in the opposite direction, so we want to invert that value. So right now I mean, I could have another key, or I could just go invert. There's so many ways to do things, and just have that in there. Now you can see it's inverted that value to minus. So if you view the actual value there, we keyframed it from 90 to 45, but with the invert it's going negative, so we're inverting the value, and that's what we get. So you can hit play and it unfolds, and you know, rewind, and it opens, it closes again. So if I reset my position, say it was looking at it flat on, now you can see open and we close. Pretty much done, right? Not that difficult, right? Perfect. So if we take a look at the image, so you tap that and this opens up. The button's slightly bigger than what we've got, but hey, you can always go in and change that. So for example, that scale of the top, because now this is always at the top. If we to say, oh, we want to scale this now, double it and say that is 10, no problem. You know, you could go back and do the same for each of those and say, oh well, these are maybe 8 or 6, you know, and you see the arrange node keeps everything in order and the animation will still work. So you've got that ability to edit that, which is nice, and it keeps everything in order. So as you can see, so a few things what we want to do, we got an animation and we want to control that animation, and we want to rename this maybe like unfold, and maybe name this invert, so you know that's inverting, and then this is the rotation, this is controlling our rotation, you know, just so you know what everything's doing. So that's inverting, that's rotating these, that's the rotation of these two, and we just keyframe. Really simple. Sorry. So set a new state and a new state. Okay, and what we want to do, you can rename these states. So you can go into your logic mode, name these states, and you can say, well, at this state it's closed, of course, so closed. I'll double click this state and you can see it's open. So now that's open and closed. You can name those, so now that's open and closed. You can also say when we click, so for example, I want to use a touch button, so I'm going to go, you can hit the spacebar touch button or toolbox and go into interaction tab and get a touch button. Place it in front of the group, so just in front of the group. You'll see why in a second. I'll just make this bigger because it started, I don't know why everything started to slightly get too big, like anyway, but there you go. So we've got our touch button and we've got our animation. Now what I could do is just say, okay, I'm going to take the next and then say single tap, but the single tap I find with the mouse it doesn't always, if you watch here, if you watch the actual output, sometimes it works, because if you're not precise, the single tap is very precise, you can't move the mouse too much. But if you might notice, the touch pressed is always getting fired. So what you could do is just get an event and link that shot to touch pressed, and take the next to that. So now every time you click, you know that the touch pressed is always getting fired. Alright, it's always firing, and that event will always fire even if the mouse is moving. You're never going to miss it with a mouse. It depends on what hardware you're using, the type of touch you're going to use here. Touch press is really good, I like that. But it could be, say if you're using a laser, it could be touch enter or touch leave, depending, or if it's a connect, or it depends on what you're using and what, you know, hardware, what inputs you're getting in from your hardware. But just be aware, touch single tap doesn't always respond, but this touch press responds all the time. Anyway, enough, that's enough. Anyway, let's move on. So I'm just going to collapse these two, And let's just tidy this up. So right now it's a bit messy on our content window, so we can tidy this up, so you know, just make everything look a bit neater. There we go. You can also put this in the family. Just hold the left click down and drag Control Shift F, and it puts in the family. Now we want to expose the previous, so we want to expose that close previous, and we also want to expose this event that's fired when we click it, so we can expose that open. So we know that's been pressed, so when it's open, we know it's being, we want to say, okay, let the other buttons know that this one is open, so you should close. That's why we're exposing this. And you can double click and you can name this whatever you want. You know, you could change even the category name and so on. Okay. I've exposed this, but I haven't really made it into a container yet. So for expose it, right click my group, merge to container, and that's my first button. If I go back out into it and I click on that event, yeah, that should be, if I go here to the button, now you can see that's the fired and there's the previous. Couldn't get rid of that group now, and then just name that button btn1, because this is all in the container. So you don't, this group here, but that we had, it's just an extra node that we didn't need now. Because once I'll just use that just to merge down, and then I can delete it when we're inside. You don't need it. It's just an extra node for no reason. Okay, so again, this node here, I mean, you could get rid of that node if you wanted as well, or you can have it on, you can have the outside, you know. So if I was to get rid of this axis here and place the axis outside, I could scale that or do whatever I want later. We're just reducing the number of nodes we have inside our container, and we're just keeping it nice and clean. So okay, so previous, and we can close that up. There we go. So you want to expose a few things. Maybe you want to expose like something like your gradient color, and you know, your text color, and then you could expose all the text. I'm not going to do it all, but I'm just showing you can do, for example, I'll just do like the text here. You can expose that text, and of course name it. It's very important to name stuff, because you won't know what text is X. If this is called text there, and for example I've just exposed that number, but it's also exposed as text out here, you wouldn't know unless you're looking at this, what's in there. You wouldn't know what's text, what line is that this, you know, and it can get very messy. So it's always good to say, if I'm gonna expose something, I'm gonna name it and gonna categorize it. So it could be button 1, my category, and then this would be gradient, and hit OK. And then for example, that text that we exposed here, this could be the day, and then this is, for example, we just named it number, so I'll just name number, and then they go under the text category, and then this could be my title, and then, you know, and then I've got the text color, so this is under the same text, and you can say txt color. And then when I go back out of my container, you see it's a lot more organized. So now that's the button gradient, there's the text, and that's the day, that's the number, that's the title, there's the text color, and so on. And then you just do that for each thing. So I'm not going to do it for the rest of the elements. I'll leave that up to you to do, and create your own, you know, little widget nodes, you know. So once we've got your button, so you've got your button made and we've exposed, it's important you expose for this the previous, so you can reset it, and that fired event when it's clicked. Okay, that's what you really need. The rest is up to you, bonus. You could do that. I'll also turn it on interfacing, so if you do a change, you can copy that down and pass it on to the next container. Okay, so we've got button 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and so on. You can do as many as you like. And grab an arrange node again. So world arrange node. I'm sorry if I was waffling on a little bit. But anyway, go to Y top chain. There you go. Okay, now we want to scale this. Okay, so you can scale it just so it fits your screen. Maybe we'll just remove one and then scale it up a little bit bigger. There we go. We just have fewer on the screen, but yeah, it's up to you. You can have more, you can have 6, you can have 10, you can do how many you want. You can offset them, play around with it. But now what we want to do is say when I click that and I click this and I want the other one to close. So I'm going to shift select all of these. Now I'm going to say button 1, so I'm going to take 2, 3 and 4, link the previous to button 1, and then bring 2 out, link 1, 3 and 4, previous to button 2, and so on. So select these 3 and link them to button 3, and 4, 1, 2 and 3 will connect to 4. So now when I've clicked that one, it will close that one and the other one will open. So it's just saying close, they close each other and then they open up each other. And you can see we've got that nice animation. There you go. Hopefully this was simple. It wasn't too long. You know, it's always good just to, you know, try things out and see. You can go in and tweak the animation and some of the spacing, so you might see a little gap when it was animating. But yeah, you can go back in here and you could tweak this, maybe minus 0.4, and then see how that looks. So that one looks a bit better, you know, and then say, okay, I'm gonna try to update the others. There we go. Hopefully they reset. There we go. So we should see less of a gap now. So you see, so that you don't see that gap. You've got bigger overlap. What you can do, you could do stuff like cool stuff as well with it. You could rotate on its side like this. You know, scale this up. For example, this could be some kind of weird interface where it's now you're viewing it like this, and you know, I'm opening it like this, and yeah. You can have it maybe open up, one could open up wider than the others and have a video in there, or a piece of text closes down. You know, it's up to you how you animate this. I mean, we could do that. Let's do one as an example. Let's do this one. Let's do, what's this? Let's do button 3. Let's edit button 3. So I wanted this one to open up a lot wider. And right now, it kind of opens up like this. Okay, so let's introduce another element into this and say we want to expand this. So we're just taking what we're doing, we're taking this example that we just looked at, this image, and we're going to make this, you know, you can take this a bit further in, and you know, and add more. So we're going to go toolbox, add an axis in here. Okay, and we're going to add another plate. So this is going to be the solid color and a rectangle. Okay, as you can see, as I add the rectangle, you can see the gaps already there, and you should understand what I'm trying to do here. So if I scale this up and scale all, you can see I've already expanded the gap. Now I want to choose, where's this going to scale? Am I scaling the X or the Y? So right now it'll be the Y because we built it vertically rather than horizontally, so it'll be the Y, and we want it just to open up. So you could say, okay, I want this to open up like this far, so we want to say maybe 1.2. okay, you might want to change the Z and the scale. There we go. So you can play around with that. That's just a graphic look. It's not nothing else. So what we're going to do is just animate this Y, and we're going to add this to our animation. So there's our existing unfold animation, and we've just introduced this little plate. So we're going to animate the size Y, And right now this is open, and when it's closed this is at 0. So now when we click it, there we go. You see how simple that was? It's not, and then the other ones are still there, and then that's it. So you could, you know, have that, and then, for example, I could say, okay, that's a video clip. So on this rectangle, it's an actual video clip, you know, and then I could just say base, loader, movie clip. There we go. Let's just get this, and that's your video clip, and it opens up. Simple. Make sure that's on loop, but there you go. And then you do, of course, you don't want this to be playing when it's not active. So remember, when this is not open, to disable. So disenable and disable here. We want to disable this, so it's not using our CPU or, you know, it's not using any processing when it's closed. So what I'm going to do is just change this to 60 frames. Go in here, zoom in. I'm going to add a key here. Yeah, right here. And on this, just on the enabled. This is where it's going to be activated. It's going to be disabled when it's closed. So it just activates, bam, video plays. Okay, when it goes, this video now is now disabled. So it doesn't use any processing. So if I rotate this back to vertically, push this back, scale this down, let's move this all around, whatever you want. Click on it, bam, there's a video. As you can see, now you can play around with the scale. But yeah, hopefully you get the idea. You can see how easy that is, and you know how you can expand on stuff, add content in there, make it interactive. So that plays, and then when I'm not on it, it's disabled the video, so it's not running in the background because we unchecked it, so it's not loaded. There you go. And then you could have in these pieces, you could have that bit of text there, or you could have an image in here, or you can have some, you know, whatever you want. Try different things. You can have these at different sizes. You know, I could go on all day. You know, and you can see like how easy it is. It's updating really easily. You know, they're all different sizes. And there, yeah. Anyway, this is where we end it. Of course, play around with it. Don't use horrible gradient like that, but yeah, there you go. But yeah, definitely experiment, try different stuff, you know, see what you get. Enjoy the rest of your morning, evening, day, wherever you are in the world. Hopefully you enjoyed that. It was useful. Some tips. You could probably add some lighting and shadows and play around with the materials, and you know, make it a lot more neater, because right now a couple of pixels off, you know. But yeah, you understand. Hopefully you understand just the idea of it. And next video I'll try to do another one. We'll just pick a random, I'll just pick in random UIs, and you know, we'll just pick in random ones, and we'll just try to recreate some widgets or whatever, you know, cool stuff. Anyway, enjoy your day. Bye bye. Be good to each other. Hit that like, subscribe, share it. Bye. Bye bye.